Newshour Special Edition.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're tuned into Times Now. You're watching Newshour Special Edition on this Sunday with me, Poonam Burde. And the unfortunate news that we are getting to you at this hour is that of Sidhu Moosewala's murder that took place at about 5:45 p.m. in Mansa in Punjab. He was followed perhaps by his attackers. There is a anger of gang rivalry, but the biggest question is, did the Aam Aadmi Party not assess the threats he faced and decide to unilaterally withdraw his security? Because this murder comes just 2 days after that withdrawal of security order had come to the fore. Not just that, the Aam Aadmi Party went on to even publicize that they had removed or downgraded the security of at least 400 people in the state. They went on to say that this was a move to ensure the government and government's resources were used for the Aam Aadmi and nobody would be a Khas Aadmi in Punjab. Is this collateral damage? Is this a fallout of the inexperienced Aam Aadmi Party's decisions that cost Sidhu Moosewala his life? That is the question we will be asking here on the Newshour. Our panelists will be joining us shortly. But this shocking bit coming to the fore, hoping that the Aam Aadmi Party does come out and give us some very straight answers.
Never in the world we have seen a situation where people who are threatened, their security is taken back, and the list as to whose security has been taken back, this confidential list is published for the public consumption. तो एक तरह से ये एक इनवाइट था, ये एक आमंत्रण था हत्यारों को कि हमने इन लोगों का सिक्योरिटी वापस लिया है, अब आप अपना काम कर सकते हैं। अरविंद केजरीवाल जी, आप ये जवाब दीजिए कि ये जो पंजाब पुलिस है, ये तो आपके इशारे पर, राघव चड्ढा के इशारे पर ट्विटर में कौन अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के लिए कमेंट कर रहा है, कौन अरविंद केजरीवाल जी से सवाल जवाब पूछ रहा है, उन लोगों को दिल्ली में जाके गिरफ्तार करो, उन लोगों को घसीट करके आप पंजाब लेकर आओ, उन पर एसआईटी बैठाओ। ये सारा तो आपने पुलिस तंत्र को, अपने पूरे फोर्स को आपने इस काम में लगाया हुआ है। अगर आपकी फोर्स वास्तविक रूप में जमीन में काम करती तो आज ये नौबत नहीं आती, ये दुखद घटना आज नहीं होती। क्या राघव चड्ढा पंजाब में बिना सिक्योरिटी के रहते हैं या राघव चड्ढा जी के पास पंजाब में सिक्योरिटी है? आज हिंदुस्तान की जनता और खास करके पंजाब की जनता जानना चाहती है कि राघव चड्ढा के पास कितनी सिक्योरिटी है, और अगर राघव चड्ढा को डेंजर है तो पंजाब के जो वासिंदे हैं, जिन्होंने पंजाब के लिए संघर्ष किया, क्या उनके जीवन के ऊपर कोई सिक्योरिटी थ्रेट नहीं है?
आज एक युवा पंजाबी सिंगर सिद्धू मूसेवाला का स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड मर्डर किया गया है। आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार इसके लिए पूर्ण तरीके से जिम्मेदार है। उनकी सिक्योरिटी और 400 अन्य लोगों की सिक्योरिटी केवल अपनी वाहवाही लूटने के लिए, बिना किसी एनालिसिस, बिना किसी प्रॉपर तर्क के विड्रॉ करने के बाद चंद दिनों में जिस प्रकार से सिद्धू मूसेवाला को मार दिया गया है, आज कानून व्यवस्था आम आदमी पार्टी की पाप भरी सरकार के चलते पूर्ण तरीके से ध्वस्त हो चुकी है।
Broad daylight killing of Sidhu Moosewala, famous Punjabi singer, shows the law and order situation in Punjab under the AAP government is crumbling like a pack of cards. Since AAP government has come to Punjab, the law and order situation and the peace of Punjab has seen a downward trend. Violent clashes in Patiala, RPG attack on Punjab police, and rise in broad daylight murders has become business as usual under the AAP government. This shows that AAP government is completely incapable and incompetent to handle the law and order situation in Punjab. The Honorable Chief Minister Mr. Bhagwant Mann, who is also the Home Minister, must be held accountable and answerable for deteriorating law and order situation in Punjab. Bhagwant Mann ji, stop behaving like Prachar Mantri of Kejriwal and behave like Mukh Mantri of Punjab, the Chief Minister of Punjab, and focus on the problems, the issues of Punjab. Aam Aadmi Party government owes an answer to Punjabis and people of Punjab that why, since AAP has taken over and has held the reins of governance, crime is on the rise, and is it not a mere coincidence, or it's something, a planned conspiracy to disturb the peace of Punjab since AAP government has come to power?
ये स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड मर्डर गिना जाना चाहिए। कल ही उनकी सिक्योरिटी विड्रॉ की गई थी। कल मैंने आपसे बात करते हुए कहा था, जब जहेदार अकाल तख्त साहब की भी सिक्योरिटी विड्रॉ हुई, जहेदार केसगढ़ साहब की भी हुई, मूसेवाला की भी हुई, 400 और लोगों की हुई। कल ही याद करो मैंने बोला था कि ये जो तरीका है ये बहुत क्रिमिनल तरीका है कि पहले बिना सोचे समझे आप लोगों की सिक्योरिटी विड्रॉ करते हो, उसके बाद आप सारे सोशल मीडिया में सारे चैनल्स में उसको चलाते हो कि इसकी सिक्योरिटी हमने विड्रॉ कर दी, और आप उसके दुश्मनों को संदेश देना चाहते हो कि हमने सिक्योरिटी विड्रॉ करनी है, जो करना आपने कर लो। और आज मूसेवाले का मर्डर हो गया।
Could Sidhu Moosewala's murder be avoided? Did the Aam Aadmi Party not effectively assess the threat perception? That is the question that we're asking here on this Newshour edition. And Shashank Sareen, senior fellow ORF, joins us on this broadcast. Manjinder Singh Sirsa of the BJP and singer Jaspinder Narula will also be joining us shortly. Political analysts, advocate Kapil Madan, Dr. Akash Deep Muni and Ravi Srivastava also join us on this broadcast. Mr. Srivastava, I'd like to begin with you. Can the Aam Aadmi Party today give any sort of explanation about what has happened? There was enough intel, or at least so our sources have told us, so I'm assuming that the security apparatus in Punjab also knew about it. Many would say there was absolutely no reason for Sidhu Moosewala's security to be downgraded.
Poonam, first of all, it is indeed saddening to know the death and murder of a young singer in Punjab, a Congress leader. But I request everyone not to jump the conclusion so fast. Let us wait till the probe is completed. Already number of names are floating around, including some Mr. Bishnoi who is lodged in the jail in Rajasthan, some Goldi Brar operating from Canada, some Armenia Patial person is there. It's a gang war. And I think, blaming the chief minister or the party head is slightly immature, because had the incident happened in Haryana or had the incident happened in UP, you would have blamed the chief minister of the state for that. Yes, law and order is an issue of the chief minister. He is answerable to this particular state, and I think Bhagwant Maan is capable of taking care of it and will definitely ensure that the law and order situation improves and the culprits are brought to book. And as far as the security which is being blamed for this, it was not withdrawn, it was only reduced. And 2 armed gunmen were still provided, and a bulletproof vehicle was still provided to Mr. Moosewala, which he refused to use it while going for a personal trip. So I think it is too early and premature to, straightway asking that chief minister is responsible and the AAP government is answerable, etc. Let us wait.
Responsible or not, Mr. Ravi Srivastava, answerable definitely yes, because you have been voted to power and overwhelmingly at that. And Shashank Sareen, like Mr. Srivastava points out, law and order is a state subject. Who else would be answerable if not the chief minister?
Look, I'm quite terrified of holding the Punjab government responsible, because I don't want cops coming from Punjab and arresting me, because that seems to be the fact. Anybody who criticizes them, they send the cops after them, institute fake cases and arrest them. On the guarantee of Times Now security, that I will not be picked up, let me ask a couple of things. Number one, why was Mr. Moosewala being given security? If he was given security, there was obviously some threat perception. If there was a threat perception, then why was the security withdrawn? And with the kind of cavalier attitude, as a kind of a pop, to show that we are doing something, you have withdrawn security from an extremely sensitive state like Punjab, where a number of people are on the firing line, because we know that the specter of terrorism has been hanging over Punjab for many years now and has become progressively worse, and there are at least accusations of very dubious links between some people in the Aam Aadmi Party and the Khalistani element. Now, the second part of it is that we don't know as yet the gangland killing, whether this was a terrorist killing or whether this was a hybrid killing, because we know that many of these gangs are also mixed up in a whole lot of this. So there's a lot of toing and froing which takes place between them. The third aspect of this is that normally we expect then when gangsters are arrested and thrown into jail, that they will be put out of business. It so happens in Punjab and in some other states as well, but in Punjab it is notorious because they make videos and they flaunt it around. In Punjab, these gangs in prisons are actually having a party. They are having a real party inside prisons, and they are running their entire operations from inside prisons. The next point I want to make is that, look, we have to be extremely careful that, when many of these musicians have indulged in the most toxic kind of narrative building and toxic culture they have introduced in Punjab. Their music is only about dope, it's about guns, it's about gangs, it's about girls. This is a toxic culture they have deliberately promoted. And many of these characters are now falling victim to the very same culture they have promoted, because then they make out songs which laud these gangsters, and then when these gangsters put them on the firing line, running scared. So we don't know exactly what was the reason behind the murder, but I don't want to say anything more than this, because I don't want Punjab police coming to my house and arresting me on some cooked up charge.
Punjab police and Vendetta seem to go hand in hand. Kapil Madan, I see your hand going up there, but that seems to be the template is what many believe. And it's not just the Aam Aadmi Party's political opponents, security analysts as well are echoing that sentiment.
So I look at it from this perspective. See, they wanted to reduce the security. There was no threat perception analysis was done. There was no inquiry, no intelligence. They decided to reduce the security or maybe withdrawn the security. It's a disputed claim whether it was withdrawn or reduced. But even in both the situation, you've not done any kind of threat analysis. That's point number one. Then, secondly, you go on and you are publishing the list of the people whose security is withdrawn. 3, then you are going on, public platforms, social media platforms. You are doing a self-boasting. You're giving a pat on your own back. Oh, look, we are, hitting the VIP culture, and that's the reason why we have reduced the security. Now, if you really want to boast that you are against a VIP culture, then at the same time, you should now take responsibility what has happened to him.
Right.
I mean, he of course, he had threat perception. He had made previous complaints where he was being threatened, and perhaps that was the reason he was given a security. You don't give security just like that. There was some analysis. There must be some official file on record that would demonstrate why security was given. And secondly, when was the last time you saw that rocket launcher grenades are being used in Punjab? AK-47s are being used in villages. I mean, it's a serious situation.
Absolutely. And Dr. Akash Deep Muni, the Aam Aadmi Party will have to come out and answer about this. It's not just about Sidhu Moosewala or this one murderous attack or murder that has happened in broad daylight. There were at least 400 people along with Mr. Moosewala in that one particular order whose security was either withdrawn or
let me tell you one more
downgraded.
Thing,
are they now sitting ducks because it's been publicized? Their names are out there.
Let me tell you one more thing.
Kapil Madan ji, you had your say. Can I put my point of view?
Yes, Dr. Muni, go ahead.
And humility. Okay. First and foremost, I am deeply saddened by the recent event of murder of Sidhu Moosewala ji, and I have my prayers for their family and fans. Second, most important thing. It is very astonishing that political analysts sitting in Delhi are judging the Punjab government without having no knowledge about the law and order situation. First and foremost, Sidhu Moosewala had been given 4 gunmen, from which 2 were there with him. He had security. A whole security was not revoked. He had 2 gunmen. First, second, he had 1 bulletproof car, which he did not take in his visit, which was personal as per his volition, not the volition of the state government. It is shocking for this very thing. The state government is scapegoated by all political parties without knowing the basics of information. Second, regarding the law and why this downgrading of security was done. This was done because the anniversary of Operation Blue Star is coming from June 1. Punjab Police is preparing for it to be sure of law and order situation. And this is the baseline. And this is temporarily as per the ADGP on paper. And I'm not talking,
right, so it's not about misplaced priorities, Manjinder Singh Sirsa. It's really the Aam Aadmi Party's priorities being on the right track, which is why this reassessment was done, including that of Sidhu Moosewala. Now, it's his fault that he refused to take the two gunmen that were with him and the bulletproof car that was given to him.
The gentleman sitting here has no knowledge neither of the Punjab state, neither of the security issues. झूठ पर झूठ बोलने के लिए अब ऑफिशियल आदमी भेजने बंद कर दिए तो अनऑफिशियल लोगों से झूठ बुलवाया जा रहा है। मुझे बता दें कौन सी इन्होंने बुलेट प्रूफ गाड़ी पंजाब सरकार ने सिद्धू मूसेवाले को दी है? इनको पता ही नहीं कुछ भी। सेकेंडली, सिद्धू मूसेवाले को ये थ्रेट परसेप्शन है। मैंने कल रात को ये ट्वीट कर डाला, आप देखिए, आज का नहीं है, कल रात का ये ट्वीट। मैं चाहूंगा आपका कैमरामैन जरूर आपको पढ़ाए। मैंने कल ही कहा था, हाउ कैन यू डू दिस? आप एक तरफ सिक्योरिटी हटा रहे हैं, हटाएं, आपकी स्टेट की मर्जी है, लेकिन आप उस लिस्ट को पब्लिश कैसे कर सकते हैं जिस लिस्ट में लिखा हुआ हो कि ये सेंसिटिव है, इट कैन नॉट बी डिस्प्लेस्ड, ये इसको शेयर नहीं किया जा सकता। आप देखिए, मैंने कल रात से ये शोर मचा रहा हूं और मैंने कहा था उन ऑफिसर्स के खिलाफ कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए। आपको ये बात याद रखनी चाहिए। प्रॉब्लम क्यों आ रही है? ये प्रॉब्लम इसलिए आ रही है क्योंकि दिल्ली से रिमोट कंट्रोल से अरविंद केजरीवाल सरकार चला रहे हैं। अरविंद केजरीवाल जी चिल्ला कर कहते थे मुझे स्टेट पुलिस दे दो। देख ली स्टेट पुलिस? देख ली? आप उनकी माताजी बता रहे थे, सिद्धू मूसेवाले के माताजी, रोकर आपने देख लिया होगा किस तरह से वो कह रहे हैं कि मुझे भी एक गोली मार दो अगर तुम्हें शांति मिलती है। 3 नौजवान तो मारे गए जब से पंजाब की सत्ता में आए हैं। कितने बड़े बड़े कलाकार, कितने बड़े बड़े इंटरनेशनल कबड्डी के प्लेयर और ड्रग्स के साथ 70 लोग अभी तक मारे जा चुके हैं। और अरविंद केजरीवाल केवल, आपको पता ही ये सब कुछ क्यों हुआ है? मैं आपके टीवी चैनल पर ये बताना चाहता हूं। अरविंद केजरीवाल अपनी पीठ थपथपा सकें आज हरियाणा में जाकर, इसलिए अरविंद केजरीवाल ने ये परसों फैसला लिया कि मेरा प्रोग्राम है हरियाणा में, मुझे मॉरल हाई ग्राउंड लेना है। मैंने बताना है कि देखिए जी, हमने वीआईपी कल्चर खत्म कर दिया। मैं इन लोगों को जो अरविंद केजरीवाल के लिए यहां पर बैठे हैं, जो अपना नाम छुपाकर लिखते हैं, पॉलिटिकल एनालिस्ट और हैं आम आदमी पार्टी के पेरोल पर, मैं इनसे पूछना चाहता हूं, 90 गनमैन हैं, 90 गनमैन अरविंद केजरीवाल के पास, 90 गनमैन हैं अरविंद केजरीवाल के पास जो पंजाब पुलिस से लिए गए हैं, पंजाब पुलिस से। नो प्लीज लेट मी फिनिश इस ब्रदर, प्लीज लेट मी फिनिश। 90 गनमैन, 45 गनमैन राघव चड्डा को दिए गए हैं, 45 गनमैन टू राघव चड्डा, 20 गनमैन टू द सिस्टर ऑफ भगवंत मान। क्या उनको खतरा भगवंत मान जी की बहन को? 20 गनमैन, 45 गनमैन राजेंद्र नगर में रहने वाले एक एमपी को, एक एमएलए को दिए गए हैं, 45 राघव चड्डा को। अरविंद केजरीवाल दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री हैं, उनके पास एडुकेट सुरक्षा है दिल्ली पुलिस की, उसके बावजूद 90 गनमैन पंजाब से लेकर आए हैं वो। और जथेदार अकाल तख्त साहिब, क्या उनकी सिक्योरिटी हटा देते हैं आप? जथेदार दमदमा साहब की, अनंतपुर साहब की आप सिक्योरिटी हटा देते हैं। और फिर सिक्योरिटी हटा के ये बताइए कब से शुरू हुआ कि लिस्ट को डिस्प्ले किया जाता है और पीठ थपथपाई जाती है बताकर हमने फलां की सिक्योरिटी हटा दी, हमने फलां की।
नॉट जस्ट अबाउट द डिसीजन और perhaps hurried decision that was taken by the state government and the police, but it is also the publicity which perhaps made Sidhu Moosewala and many others, for all you know, sitting ducks there. Before I get you in and give you an opportunity to respond, Ravi Srivastav, there is a news briefing that is coming to the fore from the Punjab DGP. Let's just cut across.
सामने से आई और उसमें फिर फायरिंग हुई और फायरिंग में इनको बुलेट इंजरी हुई और जब इनको हॉस्पिटल ले जाया गया, देन ही वाज डिक्लेयर्ड ब्रॉड डेड। तो ये जो इंसिडेंट है, ये एक इंटर गैंग राइवलरी का केस लगता है, क्योंकि इनके जो एक मैनेजर हैं शगनप्रीत, इनका नाम आया था जो विक्की मिड्डू खेड़ा वाले मर्डर केस में। वो अभी विदेश में ऑस्ट्रेलिया में निकल गए हैं। तो उसका रिएक्शन में जो लॉरेंस बिश्नोई और लॉरेंस बिश्नोई गैंग का इसमें हाथ है और इसकी जिम्मेदारी जो है वो लकी उन्होंने ले ली है उनकी गैंग के कनाडा से। इसके बारे में 2-3 बातें मैं बताना चाहूँगा। अभी तक के जो उसमें इन्वेस्टिगेशन में आया कि इनके पास सिक्योरिटी के पंजाब पुलिस के 4 कमांडो थे और अभी घल्लू घारा की वजह से हर साल पंजाब में सिक्योरिटी से थिन आउट करके फोर्स निकालते हैं जिससे घल्लू घारा के अरेंजमेंट फुल प्रूफ हों। उसमें इनके 2 कमांडो विड्रॉ किए गए थे। 2 कमांडो इनके पास थे, लेकिन जब ये गए तो दोनों कमांडो को साथ नहीं लेके गए थे, घर पर छोड़ के गए थे और रादर ये कह गए थे कि अब आपको आने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। इनके पास एक प्राइवेट बुलेट प्रूफ गाड़ी थी, वो भी नहीं लेके गए थे। तो ये जो फैक्ट है ये मैं आपके ध्यान में लाना चाहूँगा। और केस का इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहा है। सीएम साहब के आदेश पर एक एसआईटी बनाने के लिए आईजी रेंज को मेरी तरफ से कह दिया गया है। इस मौके पर जो एम्प्टी केस बरामद हुए हैं 30 के करीब, उससे अलग अलग बोर के जैसे 9mm है, 455 है, वो उससे लगता है कि अलग अलग बोर के तीन वेपन, कम से कम 3 वेपन इस्तेमाल हुए हैं। केस की तफ्तीश चल रही है। आईजी रेंज वहां पहुंच गए हैं, कैंप कर रहे हैं। एसएसपी मानसा के अलावा एसएसपी बठिंडा भी पहुंच गए हैं। ऑपरेशंस पूरे इलाके में चल रहे हैं और पंजाब पुलिस की तरफ से एडीजी लॉ एंड ऑर्डर जितनी फोर्स एडिशनल मोबिलाइज होनी है वो कर चुके हैं और हमारी पूरी कोशिश है कि इस केस को हम जल्दी से जल्दी सॉल्व करें। धन्यवाद।
Questions taken there by the top cop. Facts laid out on the table, similar facts that Dr. Akash Deep Muni and Ravi Srivastava were pointing to. Jaspinder Narula is also with us on this broadcast, and Ms. Narula, there is a lot that is being spoken of as far as the Punjab music industry is concerned, and the threats like this that have been faced by many prominent singers and actors in the recent past as well. There were several ransom calls that were coming in from allegedly from Canada that were also noted. What do you think as far as prominent personalities or actors or musicians in Punjab is concerned? How important is their security and how much importance should the state government be giving to them?
First of all, it's really sad and shocking and unbelievable that this kind of an act happened in broad daylight. I'm really, too sad about what is happening in Punjab. And what you just said was that at our time, we never had to go to any securities or anything. I really don't know where this generation is going, what is happening. I fail to understand, these kind of things happening, threatenings and things like that. There was a time, there was a little period which had come in Punjab when there was, unrest period, you can say. But other than that, after that, there was a good period that we saw, and all of a sudden this whole thing has come up. I have been telling in ample of my interviews that, we have to have certain norms and we have to go by them. We have to have censor boards where we have to, censor the lyrics, especially whatever is happening. So
right.
It is this kind of music and this kind of not only music, but especially the words have been used in our songs coming in our generation. What are they giving to our generation? I just don't understand that why we are not taking a step, and we are doing everything in this world. We're doing everything to, bring back. But these kind of things, a singer has to go for a security. I just fail to understand. I don't know why all this is happening. So there is definitely somewhere something is lacking. Somewhere something has to set right. Our generation is going a very wrong way. And it's not only Punjab. I'm talking about worldwide. And, every day we are hearing something or the other happening. USA, some kid is killing, going into school with weapons. And why are we using weapons in our songs?
Right.
First place, don't need it.
Right, so something somewhere is and something needs to be done about that. Sushant Sareen, especially in Punjab, because the security of Punjab is paramount to the security of the entire country. It's a sensitive state. It is a border state. We've had decades worth of interference from Pakistan and their Khalistan compatriots, so to say. More reason why, even though the Aam Aadmi Party is a new government, they cannot have a honeymoon period, so to say. They need to work on a tight schedule as far as security is concerned.
Yeah, and that's true. But, I just heard that press briefing by the DGP. And again, at the risk of my own life and liberty, I have to say that the guy simply does not have any idea how to give a press briefing. Number one, he uses a word for the Operation Blue Star anniversary. He uses the word Galughara. The guy, I would imagine he would have spent a lot of his time in Punjab to have become the DGP. Does he have no idea what the connotation of that word is and where that word comes from? So one. Secondly, he now says that Chief Minister Raghav Chadha, I think the Chief Minister is Bhagwant Mann. Chief Minister is ordered an SIT, right? But the DGP himself has entirely unveiled the case that the person, it's a gangland killing, somebody was involved in somebody else's murder, somebody has already taken responsibility. Why do you need an SIT then? Number three, we were just told that the government of Punjab has actually given him a bulletproof car, but the DGP himself says that it was a private bulletproof car which he did not take. I wish either the party or the government, either of them, they would coordinate and get their story right before they come before the press just to have their mugshots taken. That's not the job of the cops. The job of the cops is to protect people and carry out proper investigation. Not come up with half-baked statements in front of television just so that they can have their mugshots planted all over the place.
Why you are
I really wish they would learn the art of communication, of how to
I suggest
information and what information to give out. And I think it's
nobody's jumping the gun, Mr. Ravi Srivastava. That's exactly what Sushant Sareen is saying. That is exactly what Sushant Sareen is saying, Mr. Srivastava, that even though the top cop has come out and said that an SIT has been instituted, he has laid bare the case of who's responsible, in which direction is the investigation going, then what is an SIT needed for? You're asking us to not jump the gun. Why is the DGP jumping the gun then, especially if the Chief Minister has said constitute an SIT?
People are blaming the Chief Minister of the Delhi for this heinous crime. I said, you wait at least for the probe to complete. And here are the people who sit with the Khalistani supporters who had done the all mischief in Patiala, and here are people in the BJP who are sympathetic to them. What are we talking about? The rot is right all within.
And that's perhaps exactly what the BJP would say of the Aam Aadmi Party and the Punjab security apparatus as well. Manjinder Singh Sirsa, can the Punjab police now be investigating this case, or should there be an independent agency? Because it is the Punjab police's actions that are also under the scanner. Was a threat perception done before taking the decision of downgrading the security or not? That is the decision of the police, of the intel agencies and of the state government. So if is the Punjab police under the scanner for their role or for the lack of due diligence that they did, then should they be probing themselves?
See, that is the crux of the case. If Aam Aadmi Party is honest, they should transfer this case to the independent agency, because I am very sure, I have been told by a senior person, that the security was withdrawn by Arvind Kejriwal himself, claiming that he will be addressing the media in Haryana today, the people in Haryana today, and for that purpose, there should be an order which he could publicize and have a high moral ground that see that what we are doing in Punjab, we have cut the VIP status. Now it was not a VIP status.
Every year,
Arvind Kejriwal himself is having a dozen, more than a dozen and dozens of cops to protect him. And apart from that, 90 people. That's what I want to say, gentlemen. Let the independent agency investigate whether there was any assessment, and if assessment was there, whether any assessment was taken, and if it's so, who are those people who shared this document? Why action should not be, and immediately the FIR should be registered against the people who has leaked these documents and purposely shared these documents, that Arvind Kejriwal could take high moral grounds in Haryana.
Who was the person?
And you are the supporters. You are the one who are instigating violence in Punjab. For the sake of vote, I have been telling you day and night, I have been telling you again and again, that these are the peoples. They will ruin the Punjab like anything. They want to have that model of Punjab which was declared in 80s by Indira Gandhi, by doing a violence in Punjab, then killing the innocent people. Every day innocent Sikhs are killed. Every day innocent Sikhs are killed. And this Arvind Kejriwal sitting here and doing politics in the name of security. How can you do a security in the name of politics? How can you do the politics in the name of security? How can you do politics in the name of security? Tell me. Because this man is so dangerous. This Arvind Kejriwal is running the government through remote control. He has been dictating the police officers. He has no right, no moral authority to run this state from Delhi. And these incidents are happening. Tell this man to come here, and Aam Aadmi Party should come here. And I must tell you that these are the paid people who are paid by Aam Aadmi Party to shout at TV channels. That if you want him to shout like this, I will move away from the debate. This is not the way to debate.
Stick to the issue at hand, and Dr. Akash Deep Muni,
and he shouldn't.
Review all you want. It is the state's prerogative as long as you do your due diligence. But why go around chest thumping about it? Why publicize
Nobody is going
if you found merit in the fact that you had to downgrade the security of X number of people, do so. Why talk about it?
Nobody is talking, nobody is publicizing.
The Aam Aadmi Party on their Twitter handle yesterday put it out, sir.
No, let me tell you what is happening. Now let me
The Aam Aadmi Party put out a tweet yesterday where they spoke about how the Punjab police is now going to not be guarding VIPs. Instead, they will be guarding the Aam Aadmi of the state. If that is not publicity, what is it?
I'll tell you what is publicity. I am not talking about any verbatim given by anybody. I'll talk about what ADGP security said on black and white. He said that this security has been downgraded because of Operation Blue Star anniversary is coming on 1st June, because the preparations are going on. And apart from all the panelists speaking, you came to know, and I want to talk to all of the people who are watching you, that Akash Deep Muni, the political analyst, gave the right information as said here in the press conference by the police officer. First. Second thing, Sirsa Sahab made a comment that we are on the payrolls. I belong to no political party. I am a political analyst, and with a very firm and stance that tomorrow, if BJP does something good, we'll be saying good about them. But today, the law and order situation, I am in Punjab, not in Delhi.
No, I never
the law and order situation in Punjab has improved a lot, and this has and all respect and humility to all the panelists, I want to say one thing. Let's not jump the gun. Let's wait for the law to take its own course, and trust me, the situation you will be knowing that who has done it, and it will be coming out.
Absolutely. Let's not jump the gun. Advocate Kapil Madan, perhaps the Aam Aadmi Party should also not have done that by publicizing what they did.
That's exactly, and I would just concur with what Mr. Sirsa ji said. There should be an investigation not only into the aspect of the murder, but there should be a thorough investigation in what circumstances and on whose behest that list was made published. And all those people should be held accountable. I mean, there's a life that is being lost. You can't get away with just saying that, law will take its own course. Of course, law will take its own course. But the fact is that your contributory negligence should also be investigated in these circumstances.
One thing before we leave today, I want to tell you that Lalu Prasad Yadav and Akhilesh Yadav lose VIP security cover under Modi government. Modi ji government also done the same. It is a regular process. You have to
and God forbid, if the Modi government had publicized it, or if there was an untoward incident against the Yadavs, then we do know what kind of comments would have come to the fore, and perhaps rightly so, against the BJP. But right now, we're talking about Sidhu Moosewala and perhaps the security lapse that went in this particular case. Yes, Mr. Sirsa.
No, I want to say, had anybody seen that document in the public forum? Have you seen in a public forum publicizing that these people's security has been withdrawn and this number of gunmen are now withdrawn from them? No. Yes, I again say it's the prerogative of the government to decide who should have a security and who shouldn't have a security. But they have no right to share that document in the public forum and saying, did you ever ask, have you seen the PM or HM shouting on the stages and saying, मैंने उसकी security ले ली, मैंने उसकी security ले ली, देखो हमने security वापस ले ली. Have you seen this? Such an sensitive person on this earth? Arvind Kejriwal going in Haryana and shouting on the stage and saying, हमने VIP culture खत्म कर दिया. पंजाब के अंदर सारा क्राइम खत्म कर दिया. पंजाब में आज माफिया खत्म हो गया. What is this? Is the thing is shouting on this? And tell this gentleman to behave. I want him to behave. This is not the way. When he speaks,
what are you behaving?
Right to
Manjinder
speak and
Singh
somebody
Sirsa,
speaking.
you should also answer it.
And if you don't want us to come on the TV, I won't come again. But I don't think that anybody has a right to do this.
I said don't do a drama here.
They don't have any right to do this. They should speak on their own terms.
And you made it public.
You guys have been doing it. We are killing innocent people for your political sake. आप अपनी गंदी राजनीति के लिए लोगों को मरवा रहे हैं. मैं देश की माताओं को कहना चाहता हूँ, मैं देश के परिवार के लोगों को कहना चाहता हूँ कि देखिए, पुलिस देखिए, राहुल गांधी देख लीजिए, आपने अरविंद केजरीवाल को पुलिस दी है, देखिए, माताओं के बच्चे सेफ नहीं है आज, पंजाब के बच्चे सेफ नहीं है आज. मैं अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की धर्मपत्नी जी से भी कहना चाहता हूं, सुनीता जी अपने घर वाले को समझाइए, ये पाप मत करे, अपनी गंदी राजनीति के लिए लोगों के बच्चे मत मरवाओ, लोगों की गंदी राजनीति के लिए बच्चे मत मरवाओ. डोंट गो अप टू दैट एक्सटेंट, killing innocent people for the sake of politics. This is the lowest level of politics anybody has seen on this earth. I must say with a conviction, this is the lowest level of politics anybody has seen on this earth. People have been killed for the political sake. You have been innocent people are killed in Punjab day and night just because Arvind Kejriwal want to prove high moral grounds by saying मैंने security withdraw करा दी है. Never seen before in the history and never will see it again. This is Punjab. Arvind Kejriwal, mind it. This is Punjab. You cannot run this Punjab by remote control. I want to remind this Arvind Kejriwal, you cannot run Punjab by remote control. You are trying to run Punjab by remote control, which is backfiring. Every day innocent people are killed. Please, I humbly request you, take your stand. Let Arvind Kejriwal, Punjab elected representative, run the state. It is all right of the people of Punjab. Bhagwant Mann has all right to run the state. Please don't intervene law and order. Don't run the state from Punjabi. Please don't run the state from Delhi.
And it's not just about the law and order, Sushant Sareen, of Punjab itself. This is exactly the kind of troubled waters that Pakistan and pro-Khalistan sympathizers are looking for. This is the window that they are looking for.
Yes, and they are the supporters are.
This is how it started way back in the 80s as well. This is how it started. It started with a kind of a slow burn. That people were being targeted. They were musicians, they were artists, they were journalists who were, targeted in killings. A climate of fear was created. The cops and the political leadership were playing their own game, as is happening right now. Punjab has an oversized police force. Over the last so many years, Punjab has an oversized police force, but very little policing. You've had police officers. You remember when Pathankot happened? There was a cop involved. Or have we all forgotten about it? We've had there is a huge problem in the Punjab police. Nobody has bothered to clean that up. I don't blame the Aam Aadmi Party for everything which is going wrong. They've been there for a couple of months right now. But before them, the Akalis, before them, the Congress Party have all systematically, and the BJP was as much a part of the Akali Dal government. And they kept quiet when all sorts of things were happening during the 10 years of Mr. Badal's last tenure. Everybody kept quiet. There's been a kind of a conspiracy of silence. Everybody's been partaking into it. Punjab has been going from bad to worse, and everybody has simply watched it happen. The state is a dying state, and nobody is ready to fix it. The BJP comes and talks about we have finished the mafias in Punjab, and today BJP says this was a gangland killing. Gangland killing is mafias. How does that work?
Right, so it's a rerun of what we saw a few decades ago. And Jaspinder Narula, as an artist, you would also recall that this was something that was witnessed in Bollywood or in Mumbai in the 90s when the Dawood gang was supremely active there. That is exactly what was happening. Gang wars were happening there. Prominent celebrities, filmmakers were extorted. They were intimidated. Some were killed as well. Is this what we are going back to now? It's just happening in Punjab, in another state.
Let's play it's not the same time again, because that was a very, very tough period for all of us. And I hope it's not that. But let the security agencies, let them investigate. And I request the government and plus the security agencies to get into this matter, thoroughly and get the culprits, ASAP. Because it's so sad. It's really, I mean, मतलब दुखद से भी दुखद है ये कि किसी परिवार का एक जवान बच्चा मर जाता है. और मुझे दुख ये हो रहा था कि कुछ वीडियोस, when I saw those videos and I'm watching those people, तमाशबीन जो खड़े हुए उसकी बॉडी के साथ खेल रहे हैं, उसकी बॉडी को उसका सिर उठा के फोटो खींच रहे हैं. I mean, what was happening there? I don't know. I fail to understand. लोग किस तरफ जा रहे हैं और क्या कर रहे हैं, ये सब देख के बड़ा दुख हुआ मुझे. और मुझे तो ये सब चीजें भी कहना मैं चाहती हूँ नेशनल टीवी पे कि कम से कम थोड़ा सा इंसानियत को रखते हुए कि एक वहाँ पर आप डेड बॉडी देख रहे हो या कोई हादसा हो गया है, आप लोग वहाँ खड़े होकर वीडियोस ले रहे हो और उनकी पिक्चर्स खींच रहे हो सिर को उठाकर, मतलब बॉडी के साथ. इट्स सो सैड कि उनकी फैमिली का एक बच्चा चला गया. माँ को देखो जो इतना रो के जो दुहाई दे रही है, उसका बच्चा चला गया और इस तरह की चीजें हो रही हैं. प्लीज 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 मैं हाथ जोड़ के, लड़ाई का वक्त नहीं है, हमें मिलकर कुछ करना होगा, नहीं तो हमारा पंजाब जो है.
Right, it's about the safety and security of many more like Sidhu Moosewala, not just prominent celebrities, not just prominent personalities or community leaders in the state, but of every single Aam Aadmi. And Kapil Madan, do you think that is what has been jeopardized? Because now we have Sanjay Singh of the Aam Aadmi Party come out and say that this is nothing but politics of the opposition. The opposition would turn around and say the politics began with you.
Well, I think what is happening in Punjab, that has, one thing is very, very clear, that has shaken the confidence of the people of the Punjab. And I reiterate my question and I ask again, when was the last time you saw rocket-propelled grenade was being used in Punjab? When was the last time you saw AK-47 were being used in villages? And just to, just to escape your own liability and a responsibility of a monumental blunder. I reiterate, it's a monumental blunder, and I agree with Sirsa ji, and Sirsa ji is right. Sirsa ji raised this issue yesterday only, that how could you publish the details of the people whose security is withdrawn. There is another aspect. There was another story in the afternoon that they've withdrawn the security of the Jathedar of the Akal Takht. And, again, you don't do any threat perception, you don't do any analysis of the threat perception, and you just pass random orders just to, get a political mileage or just to get some political talking points in your, rallies. And if you want to do that, take the responsibility of what has happened. You can't just shied away your responsibility by saying that it is only the politics that is happening. It is a monumental blunder, and you should be held accountable for this monumental blunder.
Blunder or not, Ravi Srivastava, why not come out and clarify? Why didn't the DGP take questions?
I think it is a premature to answer anything at this stage unless the probe complete. That's why I use the word, let's not jump on it. It's a responsibility of the state. There is no doubt about it that law and order must be maintained. Law and order should be under control. But right, Mr. Sareen also used the correct word, that 2 months old government, how can you hold responsible for everything which has gone wrong in the state? Mr. Akali Dal government was there, Congress government was there, BJP was a partner over there. This has been inculcated over a number of decades. And I think let us give a time, let us give a confidence to Bhagwant Maan, let him finish his job and see to it that he restores the law and order in the state completely. Because instead of asking for every time a resignation or a Kejriwal responsible, and he has got 90 people, he has got 500 people, and as far as the declaring are concerned, when the security of the Congress people was withdrawn, the government made it public in the newspapers. Everybody saw it. When their SPG cover was withdrawn, it was published in the newspaper. So they should not take any high moral ground that we don't publicize it and we don't say it. They do it. Everybody does it. So what is wrong in it if they have done it? And I personally, I am against the VIP
no security was withdrawn.
Most people
it
should
was
be
withdrawn from SPG to the CRPF. The security was not withdrawn.
For policing. That's the most important job for them, not the holding the security. If people are definitely feeling threatened, they are married people, they have what they can afford it, they should go in for their private security. And people do it. Many people take it at their own expenses. So VIPs, the securities are reviewed by every government at every reasonable time, and they cut it. And they
security review is routine. It's done by government, it's done by the centre, it's done across the board with political parties, with politicians, with community leaders and with prominent personalities. But in this particular case, was the downgrading premature? That's the question many are asking. We hoped that the DGP came out and answered that. We hoped that we got some answers of what kind of due diligence that was done by the Punjab police, by the intel agencies. Unfortunately, the top cop, they're not taking any sort of questions. Neither is the Aam Aadmi Party forthcoming with those answers. We will keep a track of all of that. But I thank my panelists for joining us here on this broadcast. The political fight over Sidhu Moosewala's murder continues, and that will remain our top focus on Times Now. But a quick break. We'll be back in just 2 minutes.